Great. Well, welcome everybody. We are here today to talk about a brand that truly encapsulates the great outdoors, a brand that has traversed the highest peaks on planet Earth, a revival of a brand and the simultaneous launch of a new brand, the world's first mantramatic movement, a watch that boasts a compression system, and leveraging the best of both Swiss and German watchmaking at the same time. So quite a lot to unpack there, and we will get into it. We are, of course, talking about Sherpa Watches, and today we're joined by Martin Klocke, CEO and founder. Hi, Martin.
Hi, Omar. Nice to see you again.
Likewise, likewise. Yes,
Yes.
thank you for making the time to be with us today.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I'm really thankful for the invitation and the possibility. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Good, good. Well, look, we'll jump in because, as I said, there's quite a bit to unpack.
Mm.
But I suppose before we wade into the brand and the watches, I'd love to hear from you about the man behind the brand. We just touched upon it now. I know you come from a mechanical engineering background, but I'd
Yeah.
love to hear a bit more about your journey, to date, and how we got to the Sherpa
Mm.
launch.
Yeah, what can I say? I mean, I'm a German guy. I was actually born in Switzerland, which is quite a joke because I had to leave Switzerland with my mother when she moved back to Germany. So I have 2 years of impression of Swiss mountains and hills. Um, and but I never related to watches and watchmaking in that sense. So I started, I would say, okay, as a kid, watchmaking is or watches are always an interest, but I really dug into it when I was looking for a watch for my wife, which was like around 2011.
Okay.
Up until then, I studied mechanical engineering when I was at university in Aachen, not too far away from Cologne or not too far away where I live now. And I did automotive engineering as a subject. So basically, I started automotive engineering, and my career started in a big chemical and plastics company, which was supplying to the automotive industry. And this is the sector which I'm still in. So automotive, plastics and automotive, that's the thing. So I participated in quite a bit of development of different cars. My favorite brand is still Audi because I had good relations there.
Okay.
So,
I drive an Audi, so that's good.
okay, that's good. So we have the same frequency. No, so that's why that's what I did. And yeah, I'm still enjoying it and in it. And the good thing about that was that it actually the whole career that I had prepared me also to start with watches. I mean, it's not the same, but I mean, fundamental principles of mechanics apply, construction methods, CAD, 3D printing, reading patterns, all these kind of things, registering brands or trademarks, all these things were part of my career that I had before. So I was prepared. So that's the guy behind the brand. So
You said it was only 2011 when you started diving into watches,
yeah,
looking for a piece for your wife.
yeah.
So I mean, what interestingly, what did you pick up for her actually?
Yeah, it was actually an Enica. So at that time, I didn't know the
Okay.
brand Enica, which, went bankrupt in 1988. It's the Enica SA from Langnau. Um, and it was a NOS, the new old stock dive watch with amazing, I think, 29, 30 millimeters diameter. And it looked very good on the photos. It had two crowns. It has an internal bezel, so it was really amazing. I was a bit shocked when I received it because it was really small. So the 30 millimeters didn't really get into me until I got it in my hands. But it's a beauty, and my wife also really loved it and wore it for a while. And then I thought, what do they else do? Or what is that brand? And I got myself like a companion watch. It's the best reason to get a watch, right? Give your wife one, and then I've got a similar one, and then we get, as a couple, as a couple watch. No, but that was
Yes.
the first step into me buying vintage watches, and then it continued. I mean, I have several ones, avoiding the big ones. I don't know. I'm like a underdog guy maybe. So I I never actually bought a Omega or Rolex. I was more on the other side, like Wachmann, Favre Leoba, Enica, Bulova. I mean, I also like the like spleeny, geeky stuff, like you call them tuning fork watches. So I was a bit on that side, but I settled on Enica. They had a unique style and unique technology, so somehow I grew fond of that. Yeah.
Okay, I see. And at which point after that did you suddenly embark upon launching Sherpa? I mean, where did that sort of start and
Uh,
end?
that was really not. I mean, I more or less stumbled into it. It's like a joke. I mean, I thought always thought these watches were timeless, and
Yes,
I knew the company was ended in '88, and then a new company started, which was Enica Watch Co., which is a new company in the hand of Hong Kong holding. And they never took any kind of hint from the past. They never really referenced to the old models, and that was something I really would like to do. And I wrote a letter to them asking, why couldn't we do that together? They never replied, and a friend of mine told me, yeah, why don't you do it yourself? And I thought, well, you're crazy. I have no idea about watchmaking.
yeah,
But then somehow, I mean, looking into this and seeing that the only way maybe to get them back, those models back, would be to do my own steps. That's where I started. So, but the first idea also to please my wife was to say, yeah, I go to somebody else, the private label company, and they're doing all the work, and I just tell them what to do. But then the whole adventure started, it didn't really work with a private label company because I didn't want to do standard watches. I had something special in my mind, and special technology. And after explaining to the second or third private label company what I really wanted to do and how it worked, after my research, I thought, well, it doesn't really make sense. So then I stumbled into really doing my own brand, doing my own design together with partners, and doing everything like nitty gritty in detail myself, which wasn't planned.
I see. Okay. You touched upon your team actually in terms
Yeah,
of, assembling a design team and
yeah,
the creative.
yeah.
How did you go about selecting that? Because something I know you're quite proud of is
Mm.
this is a combination of, the best of German, the best of Swiss.
Yeah,
On the dial, I think it says made in Germany, but
yes,
and I know the Swiss industry has strict guidelines and rules as to putting Swiss made on the dial, but
yeah.
how much of it is made there and here, and why did you go about doing that mix?
Mm. At the beginning, I wanted to do Swiss made. But then after a while, I thought, well, I mean, I live in Germany. I mean, just to get Swiss made, why should I do that? And I thought about it. And well, basically, what I have is a design team. I mean, it's on my website, all the designers and team and also the suppliers, which is also quite rare. I mean, to have a transparency in the supply chain. No,
I
but
noticed that actually.
yeah,
That is not common.
no,
I'm assuming transparency is important to you as a brand. I mean, you're very
I
forthcoming on the website. You've listed quite a few
yeah,
of them.
I actually this was something that dawned on me when I looked at, Oxen Junior, the brand. They were also quite transparent about what they do and how, and I liked the idea. And so no, but I started with a Swiss designer, Laurent Oberson, and he teamed up or had relationship to Cyrano Devonté and Dominique Buza. They do a lot of work for other brands, like Uhrwerk and other companies, which made them very trustworthy. And they had like a similar mindset to me, so I really liked what they do. So I really went through some recommendations, and they recommended someone, and they recommended some. So this was like a networking unfolding while doing.
I
And
see.
and then I tried to do as much as I can in Germany, because I thought I'm a German company. Why shouldn't I do it in Germany? And to some extent, it works because, like the case maker, they are I list them still as Aram Lifestyle on my website, but it was a side company from RP, and RP is doing the cases for Glasgow Original. At that time, they were not allowed to do it in the same company. Now that's different, but okay. So that's German. The dial is from Germany, Cador, which is a very well-known dial company in Germany, maybe the best, I would say. But then things got more difficult because Germany has a lot of industry and micro precision, whatever, but most of that is not tuned for watches. They are more into medicine or car industry or other things, but they are not so specialized in watches. And then it's sometimes difficult to really get them on board. Yeah. Sometimes the tools are missing, so I would have had to invest into their tooling, whereas Swiss companies already have most of the tools needed for threads or whatever. So that's why I have a mix. So some components come from Germany. I would say 60% of the value, and 40% of the value is coming from Switzerland.
Okay.
Hence our very complex and nice domed sapphire is complete Swiss. I mean, the raw sapphire is made in Switzerland, and all the following steps also. So yeah.
There must be a cost saving, I assume, as well, to a degree, with regards to manufacturing in Germany versus Switzerland. I always
would
hear
say
Switzerland
yes.
is quite expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say yes. You could reduce cost by getting more parts from Germany. Yeah, you could, but sometimes you can't.
Yeah,
It's impossible. I mean, some specialties, for example, springs. I have inside of my crowns, which are very unique. I have a special spring, and this I try to get it from Germany, but there's a Swiss guy in the business for decades, and he said, "Okay, we can do it." He drew it by hand, the adaptation that he wanted to do, and that's it. And he delivered. Very simple.
Yeah.
That's sometimes in Switzerland so well established. Everyone knows what they're doing for watches, so sometimes you can't escape.
Okay.
But I mean, I also like Switzerland. It's not that I don't like it, but sometimes you have to be in Switzerland and get it there. That's quite simple.
It's okay. It's the mecca of watches, so we understand. It is what it is.
Absolutely.
It is what it is. So okay,
For
so you
some
assembled the design
suppliers,
team.
for some suppliers, I even had to dug out my French from school.
And actually, that brings me on to the archives that I know you had to dig through, and a lot of them were in French, if I remember.
Completely.
So how did you go about translating and deciphering old French documentation?
Well, okay, some of my old school French came back, which was quite surprising. It was like replaced by Spanish one time some years ago, and then like the same places were like erased and Spanish vocabulary was put in place, but somehow it came back. And then of course you have tools like DeepL. It's a translation tool, and together with the basic understanding of the language and DeepL, I could do it, and I understood quite a few things.
So then that brings us onto you selecting the two models specifically from those archives to launch the new Sherpa brand. And I mean, they are these behind me here. So do you want to talk us through why these two specifically? I mean, you mentioned Anycar previously. You mentioned the watch for your wife. You mentioned two crowns, etc. So I suppose it was sentimental, but why these two specifically? And perhaps talking to us about the launch of these two now.
So I was quite well established in the Anycar, vintage Anycar collector community. And there's a guy called Martijn van der Ven, and he's written a book about the vintage Anycar, the old Anycar SA, which I'm referencing all the time. So I was quite well into that, and I asked some of the people, like, what would you recommend, which, if I bring back, which one should I choose? And I think we were all pretty much in one opinion that these two models are the most unique in the lineup. So they are a typical dual crown compressor watch, dive watch, but because of the crown guards, they are the most unique design. And I chose both because they are sister models with the same case but different, let's say, finishing. So it was quite obvious for me, okay, that I wanted to do them. And
Mm.
and then I chose the ones because they have been around in different versions with different hands and different bezels, and I chose the one which was, the ones that I like most, which is quite a nice thing to do. If you've found your own brand, you can actually do what you want. So I I found it quite fascinating that I could be the one to say, okay, I want this and I want this and I want this hand. I didn't want this one. So that's
Yeah.
why I brought them back.
It's a blessing and a curse, though, isn't it?
Yes, both.
Look, I saw the Ops one when we were together in Geneva. I think that's the
Yeah.
one you had with you, and the
Yeah.
finishing was superb. I don't quite know how you managed to get a black case to be so smooth and matte and not
Mhm.
fingerprint smudgy, and it was just lovely in the hand. So
Thank you.
the finishing was very different to the polished stuff that we typically see.
Yes. Hmm.
But
It's
something I want to ask you about. So you mentioned so firstly, in case people don't know about this, it has a compression system, which
yes,
effectively means in diving terms, the deeper you go, the more watertight the entire watch becomes because of the outside pressure pushing in on the gaskets. But
right.
how did you do that in the crown? Because that's quite unique.
Yes. I mean the case bag, there are two companies who claim to have done it. I mean, I'm one is Christopher Ward and the other one is Circular. And they brought back the super compressor, which is a screw-in case back and but has some kind of room to compress. But I brought back the bayonet case back system, which has the advantage, in my opinion, of actually being simpler. I mean, simpler mechanically, but also has the advantage that the orientation is always the same. So you introduce the case back always in the same position, you click it in, and it's always upright. So we have a very beautiful case back with a nice dive helmet, which is the
Yes.
original symbol by EPSA. Interestingly enough, at the moment copied by Christopher Ward in their new watch. You can have a look. It's nearly the same. But okay, different topic. So that was one thing, but most people didn't know that the crowns were also quite special. So the crowns back then were already 200-meter watertight, but not screw down. And I was like, what? How did they do that? And I bought an NOS crown online and I destroyed it, which is a shame, but I had to do that to find out. And I thought, wow, that's completely different. It's not an O-ring system. It's completely different materials. It's not rubber. And so I researched, and that was where I had to go to Swiss archives to really dive in. So basically, it's not rubber, it's a thermoplastic material, and it's a gasket which goes over the tube and the crown is designed such that when water pressure is coming, the water pressure will press the gasket onto the tube. We have
Very
not
cool. Mm.
tested it like more than 280 meters, so 280 or like 28 bars we tested. I'd like to see more, but so far I don't have the watches to go with it because yes, the gaskets compress more the deeper you go, but of course the glass and the case back sooner or later will break or will be pushed in. So there are limits. But the
Yeah.
gasket system, the compressor gasket system is of course capable of more. So I
What
would
what
like
what uh, what are they marketed at? They're 200, right? They're
they're
marketed as
200.
200
So they're actually
water.
yeah, they're actually certified. So I had a certification agency coming to my watch case maker.
Hmm.
They have so everything was certified. So every watch is compressed to 25 bars in water for 2 hours before leaving the house.
Very good. Okay. Um, so we have to talk about the mantramatic
Okay.
points because
Yes.
again for people that don't know you I mean you're fond of Tibet. I know you've been there. You've
I
scaled
haven't
your
been
Everest
there, but I'm
yourself.
fond of it.
Oh really? I thought you had been. Oh okay.
No, I haven't. It's still on my wish list, but I haven't
Well,
actually. Yeah. Mhm. So,
okay. But this
but
this this talk to us about this very special, the wheels
yeah,
and the it's not an inscription. It's hand painted, right?
Not really. It's actually it's my micro laser engraved.
Okay.
But the engraving I had to do more or less not by hand, but I had to invent a new engraving font for Tibetan to have it laser engraved in that size. So while bringing back the brand and while deciding to do Sherpa as the brand, I researched more about the Sherpas because, to be honest, I didn't really know much about them. And I found out they're
Yeah.
actually a Tibetan tribe that immigrated from Tibet to Nepal, I don't know, maybe 700 years ago or 800. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. And I wanted to do something with the watch that has to do with them, not just print the name and then goodbye. So first we have two foundations that we support. So we give some money back into the regions of the Sherpas. And the other thing is I wanted to put something inside. So I'm Buddhist myself, Tibetan Buddhist. Um, and I thought, what could I do? And then I decided there are rotational parts in the watch. There are rotational parts which are used in Tibet, knowing these prayer wheels. And so I asked the teacher of my lineage if this is a good idea or not to put that inside of the watch. And he agreed and he helped me to make all the details. So that's how the idea came. So I had one day I had the idea and then I started following up. That was just, well, another year that, went by to optimize, to find a way how to engrave, to have somebody have a laser which is fine enough, a femto laser, and have the little you know what do you call it? Where we can the little fixations where you can fix the wheel tight enough
Mm.
so it doesn't move before or while lasering. So yeah, but in the end it worked, and now we have 30 million mantras and good vibration put out into the world from your wrist.
Yeah. I mean, it must have meant so much to you. I mean, from the perspective of going through that much trouble and cost and time and
Mm.
energy to do it. And then, of course, you've got a closed case back. So,
Yes.
if you don't know it's there, you'll never see it. So
Yeah.
it must mean the world to you to have that in there.
I mean, okay, one thing is I'm a classic guy, as I said, I like vintage watches. And back then, IWC or Patek Philippe or whoever, they didn't look at, oh, we have a closed case back. That's why we just slam in a ugly movement without decoration. So they always did very nice movements. So that's the style I still keep. So that's for one thing. And the other thing that you don't see it is I don't want to put it in everybody's face. Like, look, I've got a mantra on my wrist. That's one thing. And the other is actually so small you can't see it even if I had a glass back, even if I removed the automatic bridge. And so, well, I decided not to show it at all because it would be a lot more expensive to do with
Yeah,
like magnifying, etc., etc. So that's how it
understood.
is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, looking to the future, Martin, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear what you've got planned next. Are you going to continue digging into the archives and sort of reinventing with modern
Mm.
interpretation? Or is there a certain vision and design language that you want to start making your own for the brand?
Okay. So, I mean, as you know, I'm a small brand, so I don't have huge budgets to develop a whole series of new watches. So the first steps will be now in the next few weeks, different dye colors for the Ultra Dive, which will put it into a different kind of, I would say, design. I mean, it looks very different then, I can promise. And of course, the next first steps would also be models which were known in the past. And I mean, to be honest, there are 20 models to go. So I think I have enough time for that. But I have to think during the next 1, 2 years maybe to do something else on top of that. Because
Okay.
just reviving watches on the long run, I think will not be enough for a brand. So, but to be honest, I don't have plans yet. So the current plans will be step by step modifying the current lineup to do some models which also have been in the past, and there have been many beautiful ones. And then we'll see.
Okay. Well, I wish you the very best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Can you
Thank
tell
you.
us what colors, or is that top secret?
Um, I've brought one to Geneva to show. So actually, one will be galvanized silver,
Okay.
very beautiful, and the other one will be a rose gold dial.
Rose gold dial.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
So
In
we will use.
in the ops and the
No, no, it's just the ultra dark.
just the ultra dial. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
So you will, if you see them, you will like them. It's really, it's a very
When do
nice.
you hope to be releasing those?
There will be a show in New York soon, the wind up, and I will show them there.
Okay. So is
So
that's the formal launch for the pieces?
yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Good. Good. Well, we'll certainly circulate that nugget of information because
Yeah,
the rose gold one sounds very nice.
I can tell you both of them are really nice. So they bring a
I'm
different.
sure they are.
They no, they bring. I mean, you also saw maybe that for my sister, I did a turquoise one, and it was a bit also to test the design and how far it can be stretched. And actually, it can be stretched quite far. So I think the ultra dive, maybe also in the future, the OPS can adapt quite a bit with new colors.
Good. Okay. Very interesting. But in terms of new models, apart
Yeah,
from these two, that's coming
yeah.
later down the road, is it?
Yes, that's coming later down the road because I need to design a new case, order new cases, etc. So that needs a bit more time and funding.
Okay. Very good. All right. Well, look, we're almost coming up, actually. But believe it or not, that
Yes.
was half an hour already.
Yeah,
That's flown by.
I've seen it.
I'm just checking
So,
on the
more
side
questions?
if we have any questions. I'll have a look.
Ah,
How did the
zombies.
Keanu Reeves challenge go?
Yes. That was actually quite interesting. So I did that challenge because I tried to reach him, and it's close to impossible, to be honest. He's well protected. And I thought, okay, why not? Just go bold and try. I mean, I could lose. I mean, I can fail, but I mean, I can try. I mean, to be honest, it took me quite a thing to actually put it online because, well, it's quite a thing to do. But I got really nice reactions. So I got quite a bit of photographers from LA and other people telling me this and giving me addresses, giving me contacts to the management, etc., etc. So I was hoping that I could really get through to him in Berlin. I would say I got close, but not close enough. So basically, my stop was actually the tour manager. He went with a letter and documents into the dressing room apparently and talked to him. But well, I would say well, first try and not so successful. So um, Hollywood people are usually bound by contracts, etc., and
Yeah.
by agents who are looking into
Yeah.
that. So well, it didn't work at that time. I thought it would be a good fit, but of course, yeah. I mean, I just tried, but
I
it
mean,
was
he's a pretty
interesting.
high profile. I mean, you know,
Yes, of
fair
course.
enough for
I mean,
aiming high, but he's
yes,
pretty high profile, you know.
I aimed high. I said, okay, this is my dream. I want to do it, and I tried. So let's see. I mean, maybe there's still some people trying to get to him and talk to him. I would still think it would be an excellent watch to him, and the black one would be excellent for John Wick 6, but or
Yeah.
whatever 5 or whatever we are talking about now. So, but okay, let's see, let's see. But as a small company, you have to create opportunities which are not there. So that's what I did.
No, it's definitely it's definitely different and an interesting idea. I wish you do pull it off because it would be such a cool story.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, let's see, let's see. There's still
Very good.
possible.
Checking if we have any more questions. I don't think so,
Did we
actually.
touch? I think we touched on the ones that I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah, we spoke about quite a bit actually. So
Mm.
if there's anything you want to add, please feel free.
Yeah. Maybe one thing. I mean, two things. Maybe the important thing next show will be a New York wind up
Okay.
in October, and afterwards I will be in Düsseldorf. So if people want to see me, I'm there. And then there will
When
be
is Düsseldorf?
it's 1 week after wind up. So out of my head, the weekend of the 18th, 20th is wind up, and the
Okay.
week later, like 25th or something, it's Düsseldorf.
Okay.
And then there will be another show I don't have in my head in Prague.
Okay.
So these are the shows. And one thing I I quite like to talk about is the local sourcing. So I have all my parts coming from Germany and Switzerland. We talked about that. And this is something which is not so usual. I mean, Swiss made or German made doesn't really mean that all of it comes from Germany or Switzerland. And to really source it locally is quite rare in the industry. And it also means a certain price point. It's right now with the technology advancing in China and Thailand and India, it's not anymore only like quality, but it's like more an attitude that you want to keep the industry in Germany and Switzerland. So that was important for me to say we want to
Okay.
keep the craft in Germany and Switzerland.
No, makes sense. Makes sense. Just
Mm-hmm.
on the events that you had mentioned previously, what we'll do is I'll have a chat with you afterwards, get the names of the events, and maybe put them
Yeah.
on screen for the video afterwards.
Okay.
So
Great.
we've got the dates and the names of the events that you'll be
Yes.
exhibiting at upcoming. So anyone who's around who wants to go and have a look at the watches in person and meet you face to face, those would be the times to do it.
Yeah, that'll be lovely. I really like to meet people and talk to them and present my watches. And the story. So that would be great. Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, look, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much again for the opportunity. It was fantastic to understand a bit more about you as the man behind the brand and the journey and the watches. And I do wish you luck with your Keanu Reeves thing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
And yeah, we will talk soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All
Okay,
right.
great.
Cheers,
So thank
Martin,
you.
and thanks everyone for
Yeah,
joining in. We'll talk
thank
soon.
you.
All the best.
Okay. Okay.
Thanks.
Bye.